Hello, and welcome to another episode of More Than You Think. This is a podcast where we talk about how political, economic, and social events are tied in with pop culture, and I am your host, Valerie! Yay, you're so lucky. Alright, anyways, that was a joke, by the way. Today we are going to be talking about Lupita Nyong'o. I hope I said that correctly. I just watched a video of how to say her name, that she said her own name in, so I hope that was good enough for everyone. But we are going to be talking about not just her, of course, but a lot of actresses, mostly actresses, female, but sometimes also male actors, who get cast in roles that for some reason people expected this character to be white. So most recent example, of course, is going to be with Lupita in The Odyssey as Helen of Troy, who is that baddie that everyone went to war over, right? And so a bunch of little white boys on the internet, old white guys on the internet, everyone's like, I don't think Helen of Troy was actually black. Okay. Like, I don't care and I don't want to hear it. And this happens every so often when, Hollywood goes woke and they cast a black woman or a black actor in a role that people expect to be white. This also happened when Zendaya was cast as MJ in Spider-Man, or when Halle Bailey was cast as Ariel in the live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. It even happened to Rachel Zegler when she was cast as Snow White. Was it a terrible movie? Yes, but it wasn't because she's not white. But this happens mostly to women. Let's just say it out loud, okay? It happens mostly to women of color, of course. It's not going to happen to white women. They're going to be like, why'd you cast the white lady? The only time I've seen real uproar about it, which was actually amazing, was when Jacob Elordi was cast as Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights. Luckily, we've accepted Zendaya as MJ. I mean, I think for the most part, nobody cares about that anymore because everyone loves Zendaya, as they should. I mean, if you don't love Zendaya, girl, just look up that clip of Zendaya doing too much. That is one of the greatest clips. Oh my gosh, she was doing way too much to impress Tom Holland. Shout out to them, the newlyweds. Love them. Love that for you guys. And you know what? Maybe she wasn't doing too much because in the end it all worked out. But anyways, let's talk about racism. Okay, racism, first of all, I know I said it with a very happy tone, but racism, knock it off. And I don't think that a lot of people really understand how telling it is that there's this much conversation about Lupita playing Helen of Troy. Now, here's a little background on what The Odyssey is, what it's about. A lot of people say, don't watch the new one, watch the SpongeBob movie where he goes to Shell City. That's the true Odyssey and the greatest adaptation of The Odyssey that you might be able to find in your life ever. But let me just break it down for you guys, all right? I think the most important piece of information is going to be the fact that The Odyssey is fictional. Yay! So yes, it was written by a Greek man named Homer, not The Simpson, a different guy. He was an author and stuff. But I think the most important piece of information that we need to know for this podcast is that Helen of Troy not only is like a character in this fictional story, but she's actually not a Greek character in the story even. And so people are like, oh, Lupita's black, she doesn't fit in with this Greek story. Helen of Troy is like a demigod in this story, so it doesn't actually matter that she's not the same skin color as the rest of the mortal people in the story. She just has to be a baddie, and well, let's just say Lupita is quite the baddie. And people are on about some historical accuracy. Honey, okay, it didn't actually happen. It's not a historical. I wonder if people think that it's like a historical myth or something, that this was believed to have actually happened. No, this is a fictional freaking story. It's an epic. That's the genre. you know? It's about a guy, Matt Damon, and then he goes and he does some stuff, and his wife is like left there for a long time, and everyone's trying to get with her because she's gorgeous, Anne Hathaway. And then he comes back and he wins her hand in marriage again. It's okay. Anyways, but along the way, you know, stuff happens, stuff transpires, and Helen of Troy is there, and then she's like this like angelic figure. And the fact that people say that like a black woman who not only is a very talented actress, but also like really pretty. Like, yeah, she's actually really pretty. Like, I don't know why people don't think that. Actually, yes, I do. I'm going to get into it in a second. This beautiful woman, people say that she isn't pretty enough or historically accurate enough to play Helen of Troy. So I think I've already said this. It's racism, right? Yeah. So it's people are racist. People are still racist. Yeah, I have to whisper scream because it's like nighttime. The other people that I live with are asleep, so I can't like actually scream. But yeah, it's racism, and racism is quite bad. Yeah. I feel like Bobby Newport from Parks and Rec when I say that, when he was like, I'm against crime.
I'm against crime, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Like, we all know racism is bad. Some people don't think that, and then they go online behind the screen of their computer where they feel most comfortable, because that's where they can be fat, ugly, sweaty, and eat all their chips and like suck on their fingers after they eat their Cheetos. And they type a bunch of stuff about this successful, young, beautiful, gorgeous woman, Lupita Nyong'o. And sure, maybe Lupita is too successful and too dripped out and too busy making money to see these comments online about how she isn't pretty enough, about how these racist people don't think that she's up to their standard because she isn't as white as them, which is just insane. Sure, she might not be seeing it, she might not care. Whatever. Other young black women, other young women of color, and it's something that I see on TikTok all the time, that they will start to believe that because of the color of their skin and a little extra melanin, they aren't considered as beautiful. They aren't considered to be as pretty as like the average white girl. It's something that I have seen so many TikToks on, especially in the last 3-ish months. Every now and then I get a TikTok, it's like at least once a day, of a girl who is a woman of color, a young woman of color, and she makes a TikTok just with the camera just pointing toward herself, and then the text says something along the lines of, it's unfortunate, or it's so sad, or whatever, how, you know, if you're not a white girl, you know, you have to be twice as pretty, or you have to be trying twice as hard to look pretty just to be considered, you know, as attractive or whatever as the average white girl, as the most mid-white girl. And the thing is, like, sure, I don't like to compare beauty with anyone. Like, I don't like to call any woman mid. I think that everyone's extremely beautiful in their own special, amazing way, and that just because you don't fit a certain standard doesn't mean you're less beautiful. Obviously, that's, you know, that's just how I feel, because I try to be a good person. Aww. But the reality is that out there, and we've talked about this on this podcast before, but there are beauty standards for women that are completely unrealistic. And the weirdest part that I'm going to mention, but we're not going to go into depth about it today, is that a lot of beauty standards that are currently being pushed onto everyone, including white women, are kind of, they resemble the natural features of other ethnicities. For example, plump lips, or like BBL body. Like, those are features that are very common in African or like indigenous genetics. So the beauty standards for white women are also coming from other races. It's weird. But the point is that this narrative really has to stop. Because it's something that affects it affects people of color, that you can't be as beautiful as a white woman just because you aren't white, just because you're darker. And even no matter if you're the most beautiful dark-skinned woman in the world, this idea that you still don't compare to a white woman, that has to stop. Because the problem with that is not only that it hurts women of color, but it also kind of allows white men to have all the say in what women should look like. And there is no real one way that women should look like, and it certainly should not be defined by men, and especially not just one type of man. It shouldn't just be white men, and it shouldn't be anyone. Have you guys seen Charles Hugh on TikTok when he says he's talking to the chef at a fake restaurant, and he pulls an apple out of his purse, and he's like, my challenge for you is to incorporate this apple into our meal.
I have this green apple. Okay, my challenge for you guys back there in the kitchen.
Well, guess what? Today, Valerie has a challenge for you. My challenge for you is to go up to a group of girls, regardless of the race, age, or whatever background. If they're all the same, if they're all different, you're probably going to get the same result, okay? Go up to a group of women or girls and ask, what is your type in men? And you're not going to get the same answer probably from any two of the girls in that group. One of them's going to say hot rodent man, challengers. The other one's going to say ugly. The other one's going to say tall, dark, and handsome. The other one's going to say gay. And if anyone doesn't believe me, yes, it's true, okay? That friend is me. It's me. I had a crush on the guy from Teen Beach Movie, Tanner, when I was little. I thought that he was really cool and masculine and handsome. And I was 10, and I just thought, oh, he's so cool, and he has a cool hairdo, and he sings. And when I tell people that, they're like, Valerie, how could you not tell? And I was like, I didn't really know. I was 10. Dang. You'll have another friend who specifically likes short guys for some reason. I love a short king. We all have that friend. Oh my gosh, it's so silly. Because we girls, we have a little variety. And if you take a look at media and advertising and television, you'll notice that men don't feel the same way because, as I said, white men dictate the beauty standard. And you'll notice that there's emphasis in our culture on white women being the most beautiful, and that's messed up. So what are we going to do about it? Here's what we're going to do about it, because we have to do something about it. First of all, I just need to put this out there because it's something that I know a lot of people don't do. If you do see something on social media that is racist or discriminatory against women of color or anyone of color, do not interact with the post. A lot of people are like, okay, I'm just gonna write this hate comment under that other hate comment. It's like, yeah, you can write a hate comment against the racist person, and then that actually boosts the engagement for the post, and then more people will probably see it because then the algorithm of the app is like, oh yeah, people are commenting, people are interacting, So when you see something that you don't like on your phone, you can press the not interested button. Yay! Wow, most apps do have the not interested button. The second very simple thing you can do, of course, is just to support any sort of companies, brands that have good ethics, that use diverse models, any sort of beauty brands or any company at all that emphasizes diversity and the beauty of diversity and the beauty of everyone, not just white people, not just white girls, not just what white guys want to see. That's very easy to do. You just have to look at their advertisements. Do they have diversity Are they showing that anyone can be beautiful no matter what their ethnicity or skin color is? All right, and then the third thing that you can do, if you're someone who works in media, bring this idea up to your bosses, to your creative team, that diversity is important, and it's especially important to younger people, okay? It feels important to younger generations that we are marketed with diversity. Because why? Because we're more woke, because we're badder, because we're more tea, our bodies are more tea, our faces are tea, our hair is tea, we're tea, and we're woke, and we're thick, and we're bad to the bone. Okay. I feel like my freaking, whatever type of accent this is, this freaking weird American freaking accent that I have, every time I try to use like modern day lingo, I just sound goofy as frick. Anyways, if you don't work in media, this kind of goes with what I said before, but when you do see a marketing campaign that is diverse, you know, give it a like. Give it a like. Give it a little interaction on your phone. Because companies check on which of their posts get the most interaction and which of them get the most attention. And if the ones with the diversity get the most attention, then they're going to keep doing that. And if they keep doing that, well, we might just change the beauty standards. You might see more diverse models or people, faces on your screens and in your media. And then, of course, as I said before, this is something that has a huge impact on the psychology and the self-confidence of young women, especially young women of color who rarely see themselves represented in media. So hopefully you're a little woker by now. Hopefully you've become the woker himself. But that is my spiel for today. And I just hope that you take a little something with you from that. All right, everyone. Have a great day. I will be back in another 2 weeks with another episode. So stay tuned. I'm no longer in the US. Actually, I'm in the US. But anyway, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you for listening. Love you. Bye.